Yes, it is. It is time. Countdown to kickoff, ESPN Radio. Matt Jones, Myron Metcalf, now joined, as we always are, for the second half of the show by the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who has so many good things to say. We give him a segment and rename it every week. Doug Kazarian. Doug, great to have you.
Good to be with you guys. I don't know if I've ever been called a legend or a myth, frankly, but good to be with you guys. We're just a well-oiled machine at this point, although we continuously change the segment name because
yes, well, we're going to do that again.
That is the humor in and of itself.
I've got a great one for you. Here, so don't worry. You're gonna be. It's gonna work this time. You didn't like my first two, but you're gonna like this one. I'll tell you what I'm gonna like, Doug, is the Bucs-Rams game.
Just in case you didn't get enough football on Saturday, we're here to bring you more. It's our Sunday morning tailgate show presented by Frickers right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, good Sunday morning, everybody. It's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show live here from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer, Keith Byars with you here on this Sunday morning. Excited to be hanging out with you here. We got a lot to get into this morning. We got a ton to dive into here in the first part of the show as we look back at yesterday's college football Saturday slate. Ohio State victorious over Akron. I don't think anyone doubted that the Buckeyes would beat Akron. I think it was less about who the Buckeyes played and more about who the Buckeyes were. And we'll talk about that with Keith Byars here in just a few moments. And we'll also take a look at some of the top matchups in the NFL. We'll take a step away for 60 seconds as we reset here again. It's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show live from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Keith Byars and myself, Justin Kinner, will be back in 60 seconds.
A deeper connection with water can change your life. And that's what the home's first smart water network does. It turns your everyday routine into a customized experience.
Mowing. Fill the baby's bottle.
And it can stop a catastrophic leak with a simple water designs our life. Who designs for water? Moen.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Good Sunday morning. It's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show live here from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. The show, of course, presented by Frickers. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars with you here on this Sunday morning. Keith, good morning. Your chicken noodle soup is on its way. You got your water, your Pepsi. We got some wings coming. We got a big slate of NFL games kicking off at 1 o'clock. This is the place to be each and every Sunday morning.
Absolutely. It's a good place to be, here at Frickers, and even better when the Buckeyes win on Saturday night. And so it makes my Sunday morning even that much more special. It's the first day of the week, so I always like to start the week off with a bang. And so when the Buckeyes win, to send me into that week, good. And now we got some NFL football to watch today. And you need to get your pick in, by the way.
I got to take a look at that, by the way.
So that was good to see. Good to see. Finally, the Buckeyes, I didn't have to, sweat in the second half of a football game. I was just only a little, I ain't going to say nervous, just I was upset the first quarter of the football game.
Yeah, so that was my first night game at the Shoe, by the way. And look, I don't care who the opponent is. There's something special about the Shoe at night. The Shoe at night is unbelievable, Keith. Like, it's just a different experience. The Shoe anytime, day or night is special. But there was something about last night for me, my first night game. I'm just sitting back taking it all in. I was just relaxed. It was just a beautiful scene. The crowd, though, you could tell the crowd. I've been saying this all week. Buckeye fans, we love you, but you are spoiled. You are spoiled. They're spoiled.
Well, hold on. Let me say something before you even go into there. You're talking about the night game.
The night game, yeah.
Little trivia fact, I was a part of the first night game in Ohio State history.
No kidding.
Yeah. But the first game was in 1985. I was hurt, but we played Pittsburgh, and that was the first.
There's the first night game at the Shoe, huh?
Yeah, there's been games at night, that turned into night. it started 3:30 games that, so it's dark. But actually a night kickoff, when it's dark at the start of the football game in Ohio State history, that happened back in 1985.
Wow.
And that was my senior year in college. I was hurt. And
I wasn't born yet.
And believe it or not, and a little more about that day, Jim Nance on CBS Sports, his first telecast. First in the studio, I was his guest in the studio. I was, had a broken foot, and so that first opening weekend, so we always talk about that to each other. He said, you was my maiden voyage.
Yeah, it was like...
when I was at CBS. But it was all on the first. Go back to wrap up with Ohio State's first night game, and Earl Bruce wasn't about to let me go to New York, and we had a game that night. Well, you better be back here. New York, I'll be back. So he was okay. You go to do the studio interview, but you need to be back at kickoff. I'm not playing. I'm hurt. I want to play, but I got a broken foot. But all that was in it. So that was when you mentioned the. This will be special to me. We were special if I would have played in that game, but I was a part of it. My team was there. So
really. So, and again, I'm one of those, but you and I have talked about this. You're indifferent on it either way, but I hate the Fox Noon kickoff thing. I love it. you like. I hate it. It should have been the game under the lights. And when you force your biggest games at the noon kickoff, then you got to force feed night games to, and this isn't no disrespect to Akron, but let's be real. Ohio State has played some fantastic teams under the lights, prime time at the shoe, and Akron was, again, I'm not going to beat up on Akron. It is what it is. That matchup was less to be desired for a kickoff at night.
Akron point of view, the kid that scored a touchdown. Mm-hmm. He's going to talk about that the rest of his life.
Akron led 7-0. Those pictures,
look, he's going to show his kids and his grandkids. Look, man, I played in Ohio State before I played in the Horseshoe. The Horseshoe is now 101 years old. Well, it'll be 100 years next year, 1922.
Now, you didn't play in that first game.
I did not play in that.
I'm just making sure. So you're part of the first night game, but not the first
game. But it's 100 years old. It was built in 1921. It was dedicated in 1922 when they had their first game. But that's next year's conversation.
No kidding. So heading into yesterday's game and all week, Keith, I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those, I get accused of being the hot take central guy, and I don't really believe that to be the case, but I get my takes aren't for everybody. But I was at a loss for words all week, Keith, with the callers that we had calling into the show and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but this one I'm not very accepting of. Ryan Day needs fired. Yes, see, I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad. I wish listeners could have seen the look. Keith, I'm not joking. It was multiple. It wasn't just one caller. And that's why I started the show saying we love you Buckeye fans, but we're spoiled. And I honestly felt like the Oregon loss isn't what tipped the people over the edge. It was the Oregon loss complemented by the fact that you only had a one possession lead over Tulsa in the fourth quarter at a certain point. And I'm not saying that that's okay or acceptable. We would destroy an Alabama or a Clemson or anybody else that is at the upper tier of college football and say you shouldn't be hanging around with teams like that in the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, to sit there and say that a guy that's only lost 3 games, Alabama, Clemson, and the number 3 team in the country in Oregon, for those to be his only 3 losses of his coaching career, that is mind-boggling to me that the fans have jumped on him like that. I even talked about the fact that it's like he doesn't have the trust of the Buckeye fans yet. Urban Meyer lost by 33 straight years, 30 to Clemson in the playoff, the Purdue and the Iowa games 3 straight years. We never once heard people chirping about that. I just find that very fascinating how quick people are to jump on Ryan Day at this point.
Well, they're not fans. They're a select group of idiots that you will always have.
I like it. Yeah.
With you, no matter how good or how bad you are. So they don't make. I don't want to insult, the true Buckeye Nation fan base, because we're not that way. Mm-hmm. We're just a few outliers, and they're not even with us. It's they. They're not a we. It's the they are the ones that even make that kind of a comment. So they don't count. So they don't count. They don't matter, and we move on. Just let them, be background noise. They can always be a part of the peanut gallery. You always will have your detractors.
It was unbelievable. It was definitely an interesting week. And then, of course, with Akron scoring the first touchdown of the night last night. And again, at no point did I feel Ohio State's in trouble. But it was like every time Akron would get a first down or move the ball, and really that stopped after the first start of the first quarter. But you could just hear the hush in the shoe, like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's not like fans were watching the Akron game saying, oh man, it's Akron. It's, oh man, this is going to be Penn State soon. This is going to be that team up north soon. This is going to be Michigan. And I think that's what people are watching. They're not watching Akron. They're watching, oh man, if Tulsa's doing this, if Akron's doing this, what are these Big Ten teams going to do?
That was a perfect, example. When you hear me always say it, I will always say it. For the majority of Ohio State's schedule, it's not how they play, it's how we play. I don't care about our opponents. It's only, you look at our schedule, it's only 2 games a year out of the 12 games. I'm not counting the Big Ten championship or the college football playoffs. You're 12 games on your schedule. Ohio State, all they have to do is throw their helmets on the field and they're going to win. That's 10 games. So the other 2 games, we got to figure out whoever that is, it's going to be a dogfight. And so now you look at our schedule this year, not to be, I'm talking about before game 1, before Minnesota, you would have looked at our schedule and said, well, Michigan, because that's a traditional one, but, probably Penn State, and we don't know how good Oregon is just yet. Maybe Oregon. Those will be our 2 games we got to win, so 10, certainly, Michigan, we've been dominating them, but because that's your traditional rival, you don't want to take that for granted. And maybe Penn State, because they got to return the quarterback, receiver. They got a good team. So those are the 2 teams for sure. And Oregon was a maybe. So that's how the season will continue to go on. Excuse me, pepper at my nose. So we will see how that progresses. So what's happened right now? We're 3-1. We're supposed to be. How we're 3-1, we don't like. We really should be 4-0. Or our expectation level at Ohio State, but we're 3-1. And last night was the first time of the 4 games where we were like, okay, that's what we've been waiting on. Okay,
that
good, 59,
that dominance,
but
yeah,
it was dominance, but it wasn't dominating. We should have shut them out. So that's when you mentioned, when I said the first quarter is like not here we go again, but yeah, possibly, guys, they're not supposed to. Get a 3. Where's our 3 and out on defense? Where's our dominating? Suffocate them. Never let up. Keep it on them. Keep pouring it on them. Keep pouring it on them. You look at the scores around the country. Georgia, 63-0 against Vanderbilt, a conference. That's what you're supposed to do to them. If you're that much better than them, do it. Yes, we're 52 points better than Akron, but aren't we 60 points better than Akron? Aren't we 75 points better than Akron? Don't let them score. That's when it's a total dominating performance outside of something fluky, happen. Oh, they get a pick 6 or, a fumble recovery. They get set up in field position. Okay, that's how they got a field goal. That's how they scored a touchdown. But outside of that shouldn't happen. They shouldn't have scored. But they marched the ball down on us twice in that first quarter, and they moved the first drive. They had a couple first downs before they had to punt. Next drive, they marched right down the field, scored a touchdown. The same way the teams on the first 3 weeks of the schedule have been scoring on us. When are we going to make adjustments? They had guys open. They had drop passes, Akron did. That should have moved the chains a few times.
I was going to say, there was some time
Don't feel too good about yourself when you had nothing to do with what happened.
There was a few big plays that Ohio State didn't technically stop. Now, again, football's one of those where sometimes we feel like we have to see a stat in a box score to be able to say, oh, they stopped him there. You could honestly say that, with Irons, the quarterback last night, there were times where Ohio State's pressure forced him to throw high or throw too fast or throw on the run. But there were times where
he was the best running quarterback Ohio State's faced.
Yeah, he had wide open receivers at times that he overthrew or threw to the ground. So we sit there and say, oh, well, Ohio State didn't technically get the stop there. It was just bad quarterback play. But to be fair, you are getting pressure on the quarterback. You're making him play out of his comfort zone. You're making him play faster than he's comfortable playing. So there's that aspect of it that doesn't technically pop up in a box score. But at the end of the day, you're right. Yesterday, that's the result that we expect, not just – because winning's expected, yes, but there's a certain aesthetic look to the winning, and we saw that yesterday, something we didn't see a week ago against Tulsa.
Well, and I asked the question last week, and the question is still really out there. I don't know who we are offensively and, and defensively yet. We are still searching, for our identity. Mm-hmm. We really are. We open the opening drive, first play, Travion Henderson runs for 12 yards. Next 3 plays are incomplete passes. One of them was technically, it was a running play when Kyle McCord threw the ball behind Chris Olave for a lateral out of bounds. Thank God the ball went out of bounds. That could have been a disaster. But that's how you're going to start the game. First play, first down, and then 3 and out. It's like, come on, guys. Let's come out there and pound them. Let's establish the running game. Let's get the passing game going. But we should march right down the field like we did the rest of the game on the opening game. That's how you start the game. So we scored a little cheap touchdown at the end of the first quarter. It looked like we were up 14-7. Really, it maybe should have still been 7-7. I love quick scores. Don't get me wrong, but we are not coming out of the locker room ready to play right now. I mean, our defense hasn't had a 3 and out yet all season to start the game. Let's set the tempo. Okay, we win the coin flip. We're going to defer the second half. Defense, you're up first. Go in there and stop them in the mouth. Give us field position right away. Let us move. Because I like the defer. We win the coin toss. I like to have the ball in the second half because now you can dominate the first quarter, score in the last 2 minutes of the first half, get the ball coming out of the locker room in the third quarter to score again. It just changes the momentum. I love that philosophy. But that's only possible when you're getting defensive stops and when you're moving the ball offensively and you have an identity. Every year is differently. So Ryan Days has to establish what our identity is right now. You can't, we got a lot to talk about. But when he made a comment yesterday, you can't play everybody. He was more referencing what happened with Kevon Pope, the linebacker who quit in the middle of the game. But that's really every position. Yeah, you cannot play everybody. We're wealthy at wide receiver and then running back and at quarterback. But that's why guys work to start. And I'm not saying limit other guys, I'm on the field, but their play dictates that. Their practice dictates that. I need to see the starters because we're still searching for an identity. And as we get an identity, then there's a way you work in the second team player, the third team player. But the starters need to, because we don't have enough alphas in our starting lineup on both sides of the ball to do that. We have it on the offensive line. We're not rotating offensive linemen. There's a reason for that, yes. And we shouldn't be rotating all these running backs, all these receivers, all these DBs, all these linebackers. We shouldn't do that. But
you do that when
you're searching for an identity.
Yeah, you do that like when you know who your team is. Like last season, you knew. I mean, I know there was some.
Yeah, after you get a lead.
Yep. And I agree 1,000,000%. It's like, okay, we're putting our quarterback in the third quarter of a blowout game, not because we're trying to see what he has. It's because this game's taken care of. No need to get Justin Fields hurt. We're up by 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. We could take Travion Henderson out now because we know we don't need him getting hurt in a meaningless portion of this game.
Yeah, he's always got his 100 plus or 200 yards, whatever. Get out.
So get out. But what we're seeing is
beat him down.
We're seeing almost preseason type NFL football where you're in for a few drives or a few possessions, and then you're in for a few possessions, few drives, and you're right. But maybe that's Ryan Day's version, I guess, of trying to decipher who's who, and that just tells us
that's not leadership.
He doesn't know the identity either.
Right.
Yeah, the identity. Everyone has an identity that they want, or he has a vision of what he wants this team to be, but they haven't reached that expectation yet, and that's why you see just the hockey substitutions almost as far as that approach.
I mean, the cliche works in football when you talk about, well, you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't really have one when one hasn't really established who he is. I get that. And there's some truth to that. But you can't, and it also not just doesn't stop at the quarterback position. It starts at look at the Cleveland Browns. Who is their running back? Their running back is Nick Chubb. He's the guy. Yes, Hunt is awesome also. But you're not going to get the same amount of carries as Nick Chubb. You're not Nick Chubb. You're our change of pace guy. You know your role, you know identity, and they both accept it. Hunt is like, man, I need more carries. I need to get the ball more. No, you're not. You're not Nick Chubb. And we get that. And that's how it should be, not just on the professional level, on the college level and the high school level. That's why you work hard and you know why. That's what practice is about. So, hey, I'm the starter. When they say offense is in, I don't have to look at the coach. Am I in this play or not? Hey, you're the starting offense. Good. Get out there. You're in. And that's what knowing your identity and knowing who you are. You cannot please everybody. In other words, it's not you're in the wrong business when you want to be pleased everybody. Go back and play Little League football where everybody gets a trophy. This is highly competitive football, on the highest level of college football, you know, at Ohio State, at the Alabama's, at, you know, the Power 5 conferences, and even the MAC conference. You're at the highest level. It has to be, you know, we're not here to baby you anymore. You're no longer in high school. One of the best advice my high school principal gave a graduating class, Jim Caldwell at Rolfe High School. He said, this is the last time when you're in high school where people actually care about you. You know, your mamas and your fathers and your teachers, your administrators, they care about your well-being. Once you walk across that stage in high school graduation, the real world, welcome to the asphalt jungle. They don't care about you anymore. The colleges, hey, you're just only going to be here. We just want your money more so than you. If you want to, you know, go to class or cut class, doesn't matter. You've already paid.
Goes from unconditional love to a life of conditional love.
Right. Yeah. As long as you're here and show up in class every day and get grades, we're good. As long as you bust your butt on foot, well, okay, good. But nobody owes you anything. You got to go out there and earn it. And, you know, yeah, I'm on scholarship. Okay, it's 85 kids at Ohio State on football scholarship. Are all of them going to deserve the same equal playing time? No. That's just the harsh realities of life, not just big-time college football, life. And you're getting that lesson at 18, 19, 20 years old. You know, you have to learn how to put on your big boy pants and adjust.
All right, it's the Sunday morning tailgate show live here from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars with you here. We'll transition to some NFL talk at the top of the hour. We'll talk Cleveland Browns. We got Steve from Springboro, who's he already has his beverage. He already has his Browns gear on. He's ready to go for the Browns and the Bears coming up at 1 o'clock. And we'll get to some Browns talk coming up here top of the hour. We'll also take a look at the Bengals and the Steelers matchup. And he didn't boo. I'm happy. He didn't. No noise. Bengals, Steelers. We'll talk about that too next hour. Yeah, nothing worth talking about, he says. But I want to close out this portion of the show, Keith. And, you talked about the importance of knowing, identities and what your role is on the team. But, we as fans want that. The players want that. The coaches want that. But when you don't have that, it opens the door to some uncomfortable conversations or uncomfortable feelings that players have. And last night we saw a blow up. You talked about Kevon Pope, Buckeyes linebacker. So, according to ESPN's article here, and again, the main source was Letterman Row. We have Austin Ward on regularly from Letterman Row, does a great job covering Ohio State. But Ohio State linebacker Kevon Pope was escorted to the locker room in the second quarter of Saturday's game against Akron, Keith, after he blew up on the sideline. Reports indicate that he had taken his gloves off and had thrown them into the stands, and he was taking his jersey off and taking his pads off. He makes his way into the locker room, and then a tweet surfaces a little bit later, basically just saying, I can't say what he tweeted out, but it basically saying, I don't like you, Ohio State. That's the nicest way I could say.
You could say the first letter.
Because he said F Ohio,
right.
FOSU. There were a lot of letters there. You fill in the blank. Very unfortunate situation there, but I don't think, we could talk about him necessarily, but I think he is a microcosm of what's going on behind closed doors right now. There's a lot of frustration there. The players want that role identity as well. Some are accepting their opportunities on the field of trying to earn more, and then others feel they should have that opportunity and shouldn't have it taken from them. For one, I want to ask you two questions. If you are a current player and you watch a teammate do that, how would you handle that, you being Keith Byars? And then what do you think is leading to a lot of this discord behind the scenes? Because we, the fans, see it. We feel uncomfortable with how the team hasn't looked so sharp this, far into the season. But, the players feel it too. They feel that pressure. They hear the rumblings. They see the comments on social media. What's your takeaway for what happened last night with Kevon Pope?
Well, what happened last night with Kevon Pope was not a last night incident. That's been building.
Snowball.
And we just saw the end part of it. As a player, that happens to one of my teammates. And, I've seen a lot of things happen over my years. We talk about when you had a film on the eye in the sky doesn't lie. When you know who can play and who can't play, well before Saturday. So when you have practices, guys just pop off the film, and you can see them. And my college roommate, Pepper Johnson, when we were freshmen at Ohio State, he was on scout team as a and Tim Spencer, our starting tailback, yelling, at the Earl Bruce, and hey, get him out of, man. He doesn't deserve to be down here on scout team. He's too good. He needs to be with the real defense, because you have your scout team defense going against your number one offense, and your scout team offense going against the number one defense. And who makes up the scout teamers? The guys who are on third and fourth team and walk-ons. Those who are scout team. Your first and second team, the guys are working offense and defense against scout teamers against your third and fourth stringers. Every once in a while, before the season starts, your ones-on-one goes against each other. That being said, Pepper Johnson was a freshman linebacker on scout team, causing havoc, knocking the snot out of anybody. I don't care who you are. He needs to be down there with the real linebackers and with the real defense, on that part of the practice field, not running scout team. So Pepper earned his way off scout team. I was never on scout team. They never even put me down there because, it's like it would have been a demotion for me to go to scout team, because, we recruited you in here. We didn't have stars back in those days, but Keith Byars, you come here a lot of pomp and circumstance. We're expecting a lot out of you. You got a couple of days to prove you are that guy. Otherwise, we're going to send you down to the scout team, be the scout team running back. So I started. I started really 14 fullback and worked my way up to second team fullback in a matter of days. But I was close to going down to the scout team if I hadn't showed anything. That's neither here nor there. But let's get back to the situation at hand. Kevon Pope knows where he is. He's a senior. He's not a freshman. They know who he is and who he is not. So what happened last night is bigger than what little bit we saw on our TV screens and reading about, today. If Kevon Pope is that guy, we should be seeing more of it now. Now I'm gonna go on his side for a moment. Let's say he's 100% right. He's getting, not treated right at Ohio State. He thinks he should be starting. He thinks he should be playing more, whatever. Let's say I'm 100% in agreement with that on his side. And what happened last night, the situation where he was in the substitution package, and it was a miscommunication between him and the guy he was replacing. I think it was Taraji Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And then he comes to the sideline, and then they have a blowout between Pope and the coaches and everything else, which results in him going to the locker room, coming back to the field, and all that. Who's the biggest loser? And then, then Kevon Pope ends it with a tweet, F Ohio State, and all that stuff. And who's the big loser? Kevon Pope. You're even if you're 100% right in your disgruntled and being upset, you cannot do that. That's not how you handle a situation. And he didn't.
Where was it wrong? If he wanted to tweet it out, F Ohio State, would you have more sympathy for him?
Well,
maybe sympathy is not the word, but
no, you don't handle that whole situation even before the tweet, even before the sideline
throwing stuff in the stands.
Throwing stuff in the stands. That should never happen. That should happen at practice, behind closed doors. Get your mother and father involved, and y'all have a discussion with the coaching staff. But Saturday night in the middle of a game is not the time. No matter how right you are, that's not the time to do it. It's a time and a place for everything. And that is not the time nor the place to have that kind of situation, because who was the biggest loser at the end of the day when all the smoke clears? It's going to be Kevon Pope. And he's going to transfer. Transfer where? He's a 5th, 6th year senior. Where's he going? Wherever somebody does take him. Where? Why? Why do I want to bring that in any college? Why do I want to bring that in my locker room?
Or you're going to go to an established team that already has linebackers that you'll be part of.
Still not playing.
You'll go right back into what you were frustrated to begin with, being rotated in and out. Or you'll go to a bad team, maybe be the guy there, and what more power to you.
But he's a senior. How many more? Who's going to take him as? He got to apply for. The transfer portal's over. You're stuck where you are. So he's going to apply for an extra year of eligibility next year for the NCAA. If he does transfer to a school. Are you just going to turn pro? Who's going to take you with your resume? Are you really all that? I mean,
you better turn pro. Those teams see that.
He played 33 games at Ohio State. We got film on you. That's not the way. You don't want to. He's young, and I don't want to beat up on him because he's 21, 22 years old. Man, you've got your life in front of you. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years is going to fly by. And he's going to look back when he's 35 36 years old. What was I thinking about when I was 21? Because, like, same situation. When I was in college, outside linebacker started for us, a guy named Dennis Houston. He's quit. He started on Saturday, quit the team on Monday, Tuesday, and then he joined the military on Thursday, Friday. It's like, what is wrong with Dennis? But I love him to this day. That was the best decision for him. Because, he was, not too much of family secrets. He was a little wild guy. And I don't know what his future would have been like if he'd stayed on the football team, and stayed at Ohio State. He was young and immature, and the military saved his life. He went on and had a glorious career in the military, retired, everything else. And now we sit back and he said, man, if I had to do it all over again, I'd have stayed at Ohio State, man. I don't know what was I thinking. I went on, had a great career in the military, but I was just dumb, man. It was a bad decision. I love Ohio, but you make emotional decisions like that. And this was our junior year.
Mm-hmm.
Pope is older than him. He's a senior, fifth-year senior. I've seen decisions that go wrong. And no matter how right Pope is in this situation, because I don't have all the facts, he's still wrong for the way he handled it. Because everything he was 100% right in, the way you handle the situation, what can we see? What can we go by? Because now it's hearsay. You'll say word against our say. His word. But what we seen, you throw in the stands. We seen you storm into the locker room. Yep. We see your tweets. Case closed.
And that's not just a football thing. That's real life. That's your job.
Your job.
I don't care where you work, what level of work you have. You storm out of work. You tweet out "F my boss, F my company."
No matter how bad they're doing you.
You're like, this isn't a football. This is no longer a football thing. This is a reflection of how are you going to handle adversity when you enter the real world. And that's unfortunately, even when he goes for job interviews, unfortunately, they'll remember that.
Oh, you that guy? What happened? That was 10 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, but I was young.
So if we don't approve your vacation time, or if we put you on second shift or third, you don't like that, are you going to storm out? Those are going to be the things going through employers' heads, unfortunately. So it's actually the Sunday morning tailgate show. Too many shows. The Sunday morning tailgate show live here from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Keith Byars, Justin Kinner with you here on this Sunday morning. We'll talk a lot of Ohio State football throughout the week. The Keith Byars show Mondays at noon. Keith will dive more into Ohio State's win over Akron. He'll dive more into this Kevon Pope situation, as well as more of the top games around college football. But let's transition to some NFL talk. We'll kick off the next part of the show with the Browns and the Bears. Justin Fields will make his NFL starting debut with the Chicago Bears as a rookie, and he's going up against the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, number 1 in the league in completion percentage, completing 81.9% of his passes, also number 2 in the league in yards per attempt. So we'll talk about what that means for Baker Mayfield and his pursuit of that next big contract. We'll also talk about what story is Kevin Stefanski telling us with the play calling. What is he telling us based on how much responsibility he's given to Baker Mayfield? We'll talk about that. Plus, Joe Burrow going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Burrow has all the weapons that you would need as a quarterback when you talk about skill position players. He has the wide receivers. He has Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. He has Jamar Chase. He has Joe Mixon. But that offensive line continuing to be a problem. And while what's also a problem is you have a really good pass rushing team in the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up on the schedule. All things NFL coming up next. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. The law offices of Blake Mason will fight for you. Call 444-4444. Want more fight? More attention? More compensation? We've recovered millions in auto and injury cases. We don't know what your case is worth until you call. One more call, 444-4444.
Burn Burns Furniture in Medway is proud to celebrate 56 years of business. Stop in and see Bob. He'll show you the Miami Valley's most fantastic selection of beautiful American-made and Amish-built bedroom and dinette furniture, along with quality made-to-last sofas, best recliners, and accessories. Burns Furniture has free delivery in the Dayton-Springfield area and is open 9 to 5 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. For quality furniture, it's worth a short drive in the country to Burns Furniture on Lake Road in Medway.
A deeper connection with water can change your life, and that's what the home's first smart water network does. It turns your everyday routine into a customized experience.
Moen, fill the baby's bottle.
And it can stop a catastrophic leak with a simple water designs our life. Who designs for water? Moen.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and must.consumeraccess.org number 3030.
There's a natural resource that exists everywhere on the planet which could benefit all of civilization, yet it's been largely ignored. That resource is women. At CARE, we found in country after country that empowering women is one of the fastest ways to help end poverty.
I am powerful. I am powerful.
She has the power to change her world. You have the power to help her do it. Call 1-800-521-CARE or visit care.org.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Well, howdy! Thanks for coming to Big Bubba's. We got a mess of used cars. What can we do for you?
We're looking for
something cute. Well, here's a beauty, a 99 model with a moon roof. As a bonus, we'll throw in a leaking gas tank. You could be driving and kaboom! Adds that zing of excitement.
You got any other cars?
Wouldn't it be great if you could be warned of life's risks? If you have diabetes, you can. There's a simple blood test called A1C that can help measure your risk of complications such as heart attack. Why is it important? Because 2 out of 3 people with diabetes die from a heart attack or stroke. If your A1C is above 7, your doctor can show you how to lower it. If you have diabetes, know your risk for heart attack. Know your A1C. Ask your doctor, or for more information, go to www.diabetesa1c.org or call 1-877-TEST-A1C. Brought to you by the American Diabetes Association, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation International, and the Ad Council.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
All sports. All the time. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
1, 2, 3.
Big week in the National Football, or big week 3 in the National Football League. A lot of big games, and of course, for our Ohio teams, the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't say anything. Just relax. I said the Cleveland Browns first. We're good. We're good. Steve from Springboro out here, avid Browns fan. Ohio's only professional football team. There you go. Then
Well,
Ohio State.
Ohio State now, they're going to pay them.
Yeah.
They're not professional. Yeah. Unofficial professionals. Wish I can go back there some years.
So no kidding, right? Like, my goodness. All right. So interesting matchups today around the NFL that we'll kind of look at a lot of the top matchups, but I want to open up. So the Bears and the Browns, a lot of interesting storylines here in this one, Keith. Cleveland, a 7.5-point favorite at home as they welcome in the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields making his pro NFL debut as far as being a starter is concerned. Now, I've said this before, like, I'm a huge Justin Fields fan. I'm pulling for him, but I'm conflicted today. I'm like, I not pulling for him today. I'm pulling for the Browns. I'm a Browns fan. But after this, I'll jump. I know you're not conflicted. I'm just saying.
For Justin Fields.
So, it's just going to be an interesting matchup today. But so there's been a lot of interesting talk about Baker Mayfield this week, Keith, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. So, we did a segment in the show earlier in the week called Impressed, Not Impressed. And we were just going through different, numbers and kind of bullet points that have popped out for the start to the season for the Browns and the Bengals. Baker Mayfield leads the league in completion percentage at 81.9%. He also is number 2 in the league in yards per attempt at about, I believe, like 10.9 yards per attempt on completions. So when he does throw, when he does connect, he's moving the ball up and down the field. But here's the number that really, and again, I'm been accused of being a Homer Browns fan, so I was trying to prove that I'm not a Homer Browns fan, that I'm noticing something that Kevin Stefanski is kind of telling us through his play calling. And I'm not saying Baker's a bad quarterback by any means, because I'm a huge Baker fan. But I talked about how he's number 1 in completion percentage. He's number 2 in yards per attempt, but he's also number 28 in pass attempts. Now, I know that may seem like nothing to some people, but at the same time, if you are completing a big chunk of your passes and you are moving the ball up and down the field with your yards per attempt, Kevin Stefanski's still putting a lid on how many times he lets Baker drop back to throw the ball. Now, I've had people say, well, Justin, that's always been Kevin Stefanski's offense. That's how he run. That's how the offense is. And I said, well, okay, that's fine. But do you think that if he had a Patrick Mahomes, that Patrick Mahomes would be number 28 in the league in pass attempts? No, that wouldn't be the case with Aaron Rodgers. It wouldn't be the case with a lot of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I still think Baker's the top 10 quarterback, but
10?
Yes. But this is a point for you if you don't think he is, because clearly Kevin Stefanski is telling us that, hey, we are still limiting how much we let him drop back because out of concern. I mean, again, you talked about the Ohio State thing. We only see what we see on Sundays. The coaches see they see Monday through Saturday what's going on. And I'm not saying that Baker's bad in practice, but clearly there's something going on in practice that Kevin Stefanski still will not just let him eat. And I think Baker's capable of moving the ball up and down the field and all that. But what do you think, when I start dissecting that? Kevin Stefanski is telling us that there's something missing there for him to trust Baker to drop back more than 24 times a game. I find that interesting because, like I said, if I don't think it's a system thing, because if he had Patrick Mahomes, you mean to tell me that he would only drop him back 24 times a game? No. So what do you think about that? Am I onto something there, do you think?
Well, let me start off with a little bit of an apology before I come back to my point.
I forgive you. It's okay.
When you said Baker is a top 10 quarterback, I said, huh? Really? But when you say top 10 in the NFL, it's not the same as saying top 10 of college football. But it's only a minute number of starting quarterbacks in the NFL. It's only 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Top 10 is what, a third? Come on, that's not impressive. When you saying the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, the best of the best, that number should be 4 or 5. It's only 4 or 5 of those guys.
So it's an apology, but it's not an apology.
Exactly.
Okay. I just wanted to connect those dots there. I just want to make sure.
Because, pre-kickoff of the 2021 season, I did my quarterback list. And going into the season, my top 4, and they're elite. The elites, and my elite quarterbacks.
You prepared. Look at that. I like that.
Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Before the season started. Now, and then the next level was Deshaun Watson, who we're still waiting on. But, to play this year, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Ben Roethlisberger. So those are the top 8. I couldn't even get to 10 on my list. And then everybody else falls in other categories of average, meaning, before the season started, you either go up or down. And I had 9 guys in that category, which Baker Mayfield is one of those. So there's a top tier, which is elite, which was only 4 guys that made that list. The next level was above average, and only 4 guys made that list. And then after that, I had 9 guys on the average list was at 17 quarterbacks already. So that's half the league. And then after that, I had the lower tier guys that could either go up or far down. And then the young guys, I don't even talk about them. And I have, how many guys am I having? Well, I got a lot of guys on my young guns list. And who's the young guns? Guys who played 3 years and less. You can't be a one-hit wonder and be, oh, he awesome. And I think RG3 was a one-hit wonder. He had a heck of a rookie year, and then the second he got hurt, and then he kind of fell off. And he had a decent career. Now he's doing television. So you don't want to jump on guys too early. You know, look at Baker Mayfield. You know, Baker he's his fourth year now, right? So like we were talking about, this was last year, I would say it's too early to judge Baker Mayfield. His first 3 years, he done some good things, he done some other things. And let's just wait. And then after 3 years, he got his team in the playoffs, won a playoff game. And so now he's not in that quite elite category where you said top 10. Yeah, he might be top 10, but that's not good enough in the NFL. You know, 2 teams. You want
one of the top 4 or 5 or 6 guys
at your position. And if your position is deep enough, okay, yeah, you won the top 10 or 20. You know, it's not like you're talking wide receivers when you got 2 and 3 starting receivers. You only got 1 quarterback. So being top 10 as 1 quarterback, that's not the same. It's been okay, it's been good, but are you in the elite level? You know, where that number's smaller, or you want the top 3 to 4 guys, 5 guys in the league. If you want the top 5 guys, now you truly, truly are special. And the 4 guys on my list, I didn't even get to the top 5. The 5th guy is up in the air, but Pat Mahomes is truly, truly special. He can go to any team and start. Tom Brady is truly special, even at this age, because even a couple years ago, Tom Brady wasn't in the top 4. But he just kept slugging along. He's in the top 4. Russell Wilson is pretty doggone special out in Seattle. Aaron Rodgers is pretty doggone special, even though he had a horrible week 1. He's still special. It's pretty good, very good. So, and then after that, Lamar Jackson, who's won the league MVP. And he's not in my list yet, but he's above average. We saw him Sunday night. Pretty special. You know, Josh Allen hasn't had his big game as yet this year, but he's pretty doggone good too. You know, Deshaun Watson, pretty special. He's pretty good, very good. So is Baker Mayfield any one of those 7 guys I mentioned? No. That doesn't mean he's bad, but he's just not one of those 7 yet. And he's young. He's got, by December, I mean, oh man, he's one of the elite guys right now. He's above average. Right now, he's average. And that's not a bad thing. There's above average, there's below average. Right now, he's average. And he has a way, to improve on that list. He's still young. Look at this, the 2 losses, the two interceptions that really stands out. They played week 1 against Kansas City. Outplayed them for 3.5 quarters. But he didn't finish that interception that Baker Mayfield threw, made you forget about all the other stuff he did well in that game.
Yep.
That one throw, like, that happens sometimes. It happens sometimes. So we see, they had a bad interception last week, but, they overcame it. But I don't pass judgment on guys, too soon. Let them careers take care of themselves and keep working hard. And it would work itself out. So,
but
Baker Mayfield top 10, possibly.
So,
Steve said he's got 3 different offensive coordinators, head coaches, with 2 head coaches. But that's a part of your growth process. That happens, and that's why I don't. Absolutely. Because we're talking about stability at the quarterback position. If some of your listeners didn't hear that, and that is important to the growth of any quarterback. You look at a young quarterback fresh out of Ohio State by the name of Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins had a great senior year at Ohio State under one system. Then the next year he goes into the pros with the Washington Redskins. New head coach, new system. His second year in the pros, new head coach, new system. So that's 3 years of his career that he had to learn new systems. And then last year he gets released in the second year, in the middle of his second year. Now he's in Pittsburgh. He's got 4 systems in 4 years, and it's too early to pass judgment on Dwayne Haskins' career. Now he's in Pittsburgh learning. So that's why you don't write a guy off too soon and you don't crown him too soon. Look at Sam Darnold. You know, same guy with the Jets. He's terrible. Get rid of him. We can get rid of Zach Wilson. Get rid of Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold goes to a different team, a different situation, and we got a lot of football to play in 2021. But the Carolina Panthers are 3-0, and Sam Darnold is one of the reasons why they are 3-0.
All right, it's a Sunday morning tailgate show live here from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. We'll pick up with this conversation on the other side. Plus, we'll jump in to the Cincinnati Bengals conversation. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
KTH is now offering a $3,000 sign-on bonus for a limited time. It has immediate openings for second and third shift production associates. KTH promotes from within, offers medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at just over $17 per hour with annual increases. KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. or Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID. Visit kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, good evening, officer. A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
O'Reilly. Get more miles on the road with O'Reilly Auto Parts. A clean fuel system means better gas mileage for your car. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get 2 bottles of Lucas Fuel Injector Cleaner for $8. Plus, earn double O Rewards points. For a clean, lubricated, more fuel-efficient system, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hello, I'm Clerk of Court Rob Scott, serving Kettering, Centerville, Moraine, and Washington Township. From October 18th to October 29th, you can come to Kettering Municipal Court and pay off half your fines and costs, and the other half will be waived. There is nothing to fear. Come pay off half your fee.
This is brought to you by Rob Scott, Clerk of Court.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, good evening, officer. A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk. You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Call It Propane has been serving the Buckeye Nation in the Miami Valley for over 65 years.
Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Ask about the service options at 937-372-9194.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Call It Propane and Call It Seal Coating are proud to serve the Buckeye Nation.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Want free Reds tickets? How about a free MLB Network Reds bag? Maybe a Reds bobblehead? Here's an idea. How about we combine them all together and give you a chance to win a free WING Reds prize pack presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Register daily at wingam.com. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Sunday morning tailgate show live here from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. I did shoot Brady a text, and as soon as he sends a pick back, I think I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think I'm going to pencil me in for the Cardinals. Arizona again. The knockout league. I've been similar one with it's an eliminator league, but the knockout league.
Okay.
The Cardinals have the biggest line over any other team, which is a dangerous game to play. But
I went with Carolina on this past Thursday night. And everybody, I was a little nervous in the first half, but they end up eventually pulling away. And I've already advanced, so I get to watch the games nice and relaxed this afternoon.
See, when I get knocked out in this league early in the year, I'm not saying it doesn't bother, but I'm like, okay, whatever. I get knocked out early, so what? But I hate when you get deep. Like my competitiveness kicks in
when
as you
get
8, 9,
10 weeks in, you're like
right now, it's like if I get beat, I get beat. But when you start seeing the list of guys and gals kind of shrink a little bit, that's when I start getting
and
anxious.
Your name is still there.
And I think I've won it twice over the last few years. I've won it twice, so there you go. But we welcome you back. Good Sunday morning. It's the Sunday morning tailgate show live here from Frickers. Show's brought to you by Frickers, of course, and Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars with you here. Just to let you know, we have look at these. We have quite a few Dave Matthews Band tickets for Tuesday night at Riverbend in Cincinnati. We appreciate everyone who's come out here this morning. Everyone that comes out is registering to win a pair of Dave Matthews Band tickets for this Tuesday night at Riverbend in Cincinnati. Come on out. You come up to the table. Let me know you're here, and I'll tell you what you can do to win these tickets. But we're giving these away here this morning, so come on out, get a table, get a drink, get a beverage, get some food, get some wings, and sit back and hang out with us as we watch.
And a trivia question I was asking Justin on the break, I asked it to the listeners. I know who Dave Matthews Band is. I just couldn't tell you a song. I just can't tell you one of their. This is my favorite jam by the Dave Matthews Band. I don't know. Can anybody help me out with that one? I'm not hating on Dave Matthews Band. I've been around for years. I just don't know him. But I was also at a golf tournament about 5-6 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. That night was Chicago.
Okay.
And I'm like, Chicago, they're gonna be here tonight? Like, yeah, man, Chicago. I'm like, you like them? I'm like, I know. I've seen the logos. I've seen the T-shirts. I know who the group is. I've heard of them. I couldn't tell you a Chicago song. 2.5 hours later, I love Chicago. I didn't know they sang that. I didn't know they sang that song. It was just awesome. I'm like, I love Chicago. I love them now.
There's so many
and
songs.
I didn't know I loved them before because I heard the song on the radio. I didn't know that was Chicago singing. Love them. So Dave Matthews, people, I'm not hating on him. Just help a brother out. HBO.
HBO. Never heard that one, actually. Ants marching, crash into me. There you go. There's a few. But dive back into this NFL stuff.
Okay, back to the NFL.
Oh, real quick, though, on that. There's a lot of songs I know, but I can't tell you who sings them. So half the time people are like, oh, do you know any of his songs or her songs? I'm like, no, probably not. And then they'll play a few. I'm like, oh, wow, I knew more of that artist than I thought.
Right.
That's how So the same thing with movies when it comes to actors. Oh, do you like that actress or that actor? I'm like, I don't even know who that is. Like, sure you do. She was in this movie. He was in that. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. I'm the same way. Yeah. Not a whole lot of room for more information in this small brain of mine. So there you go. We talked Bears, Browns. Last thing as we close the door on the Browns conversation. Looking forward to that. I want to talk about him in a moment. But
he's going to be real comfortable. He's back in Ohio. Mm-hmm. He's going to play well in Ohio. He always plays well in Ohio. He's going to be comfortable.
The one thing, so Jarvis Landry's out today for the Browns. And
I have him on my fantasy team. I'm going to take him out.
OBJ is playing today. He's starting today. And we talked about hot takes earlier. My hot take is this. My hot take is that OBJ and Baker will thrive. And this is not me taking a shot at Jarvis. Just relax, folks. But there's something going on chemistry-wise that the offense has not been able to take off with Jarvis and OBJ and Baker. People keep saying it's, well, Baker, OBJ, that the chemistry is an issue with. I'm not saying it's Jarvis by any means. That is not what I'm saying, because it sounds like I'm saying, oh, he's the problem. I don't think there's a problem here, but sometimes things work, sometimes they don't, and it doesn't always have to be some drama-filled reason why it doesn't work. But I'm wondering if, and I'm expecting today, I think OBJ has a monster game. I think he takes off today, because I think sometimes when you have OBJ and Jarvis on the field at the same time, Baker trying to spread the wealth a little bit, trying to appease everybody, but with when it's just Jarvis, Baker thrives. We've never seen just OBJ, and I'm really curious to see what an offense with just OBJ and no Jarvis looks like. I think big picture, everybody will say we want Jarvis over OBJ, even though OBJ more probably skilled. But with what works with the Browns, it's always been Jarvis since he signed here back when Baker's rookie year. But I'm curious if this offense takes off without Jarvis on the field today, and it's not Jarvis the problem, but I think that all of a sudden it becomes Baker, OBJ, that tandem, those main two guys. I'm really interested to see how that tandem works today. And again, not pushing the narrative that Jarvis is the problem, but I think him being out, it just makes a more fluid situation between Baker and him, and how that's going to transpire out of the field.
Well, I've said it before, and I believe it, and I will continue to say it. Football is the greatest team sport there is. There is no room, no major room for individualism. And Baker, and Baker and Odell Beckham Jr., they have to realize that, and Baker realized it. I think he does. See him get in press conferences talk about I didn't throw the ball enough. I need to average 300 yards a game, and we need trust me on more deep balls. Baker doesn't do anything, none of that. He's shown growth and maturity, as a leader. That's why they was in the playoffs last year, because the Cleveland Browns team all contributed to that success. And Beckham, when he was a New York Giant, and that sometimes your first impression leads it, it was all about him. These commercials, he made one catch in Dallas against Dallas Cowboys, and that kind of been the high point of his career. And ever since that time, he kind of went down. He's taking pictures on the boat. That all happened in New York. So he's still trying to live down that individualism ideal. And Odell has said some of the right things, but you got to go out there and prove it, week in, week out. And the Browns' best team is a run first, pounding the defense, and mix in the pass. And Beckham is not going to get 15 targets. They're not going to throw the ball to you 4 or 5 times a quarter. If they do, great, and y'all win. But it's about the team first, and that's not the Browns, makeup right now is to throw the ball. One guy, 80% of the passes go in his direction. Baker's done a tremendous job of spreading the ball out to both tight ends, receivers, the backs. Everybody gets a turn. And Odell has said all that things, so he's trying to change his perception because sometimes perception is the reality of a person's career. I like Odell Beckham, but he has to. He doesn't downplay enough of it. He lets that hype it all about me, be in service. We haven't seen him on the field in almost a year. I haven't missed him. The Browns certainly haven't missed him because they've been winning. So if he wants to come back, change the narrative of who he is, and be a productive member of the team, I think he can do it. And he was starting to do that last year prior to his injury. I can still see him running that reverse against your Cowboys. Hey, just get the guy's electric. One of the differences between him and Jarvis is Jarvis catches the ball better than Odell. Since the quarterback is going to trust you more. But Odell is more dynamic once he does catch the ball than Jarvis. The problem is, him catching the ball. He has too many unforced errors. We know he can catch the ball, but you drop the ball too much. He should go, for every, if he has 70 catches, how many did you drop out of 70? 2, 3? That we can, but if he catches 70 balls, he dropped the ball 10 times, 15 times. Yeah, he should. Yeah, too many drops out of him. That's what we're looking for at the end of the day. And me personally, I've seen him drop the ball too much. Doesn't take away. He's a tremendous receiver, but I guarantee you did the research. He has more drops than Jarvis Landry has. But that's neither here nor there right now. It's about the team, which I said first. It's about the team. And if Odell buys into the team concept, because the cameras will find him, on the sidelines. Man, Odell only had one target, and it's in the second quarter. Don't pay any attention to that. You worry about moving the chains, being a decoy, or being a guy when it's your turn, when the ball comes your way. That's what Odell Beckham can bring, to an offense and to a team, about bringing his dynamic skills to the betterment of the team.
Freddie's, we'll have his answer for you in just a second, by the way. So
okay.
There you go. Let's transition over to the Cincinnati Bengals, Keith. They have the Pittsburgh Steelers today. They're at Pittsburgh. And look, all the talk of Cincinnati, Bengals fans, they get annoyed with me because I bring up the offensive line constantly. But until it's fixed, I'm going to keep bringing it up because that's the problem with the team. Like, we bring up the run game for the Browns and how good it is. Why? No one says,
man, we're talking about Ohio State's defense because that's the problem with the team.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, man, you're beating a dead horse with the Buckeyes defense. Well, no, that's the problem now, and that's been the problem the first couple of weeks. We'll see, once they figure it out, we won't talk as much about how bad the defense is. We'll talk about how good it is. When we talk about how good the Browns' run game is, nobody says, oh, you're beating a dead horse talking about how good the Browns' run game is. I love when people do that. The only time a dead horse is being beaten is when you are putting the negative in front of, not the negative, the reality in front of fan bases. And so yesterday I had someone say, you're constantly beating the dead horse to the Browns offensive line. I'm like, no, I'm bringing up the reality of the offensive line. No one ever, like I said, no Browns fan in the history of the world has ever said, man, you're beating a dead horse. We know the Browns have a good run game enough already. No, you only say that when you're upset when someone's pointing out the deficiencies within your team. We did the draft special presented by Frickers that night, of course. He picked Buffalo, huh?
He picked
Buffalo. Okay.
We hear you, Brady.
We did the draft special that night, and of course, everyone ripped into me because of my reaction to the Bengals taking Jamar Chase instead of an offensive line. And what everyone hears is that I was saying that Jamar Chase was no good, that he was a bum, that they shouldn't have taken him. I said, no. It's about priorities. You got to you have a list of needs.
I want 32 number one picks. I'm going to pick all in first round of my team.
So when you prioritize the needs of your team, okay, it really comes down to, what hole do you need to fill for? Everyone's like, well, they needed a wide receiver. I'm like, well, they've won 6 games in 2 years. They have a lot of holes to fill. It's about prioritizing what holes you need to fill right away. And offensive line was the most important. So right now I'm getting a lot of, I don't hear you talking about Jamar Chase has been great 2 weeks in. He's a top 10 wide receiver, yada, yada. I'm like, I don't care about that. I was like, I never said he was going to be a bum.
We drafted him to be great.
Yeah. So congratulations for doing your job. I'm talking about the guys that aren't. So my whole point is that, yes, I knew Jamar Chase was solid. I knew that, those guys were going to be solid. But it didn't matter because if you have a great wide receiver, if you have a great running back, if you have a solid quarterback, all that means nothing if you don't have an offensive line. Already, Keith, 2 weeks in, 10 sacks. He's been sacked. Joe Burrow's been sacked 10 times. I don't care how good Jamar has looked. I don't care how good, any of the receivers or the running backs for the Bengals look. As long as Joe Burrow is getting destroyed already, 10 sacks. He's been hit 10 times.
Well,
That's way too many 2 weeks in for a team and a fan base that told me I didn't know what I was talking about, that they did address the offensive line. Clearly, it's not enough. Their quarterback's getting hit a ton. He was hit the third most times in the NFL last year, Keith. He didn't even play the last 2 months of the season. That's a problem. You got Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh today. Cincinnati's in trouble.
Yes, they are.
Joe Burrow's in trouble. Joe Burrow's in trouble. The Bengals are who they are right now. They do have the pieces to potentially have a winner down the road. They have a quarterback, receivers, running back, what have you. But they may not have that quarterback if they don't find a way to protect him.
Yes, and that's what it is. I mean, and this is going to be a test, for Cincinnati early in the season. I mean, I don't mean it as a test because every NFL game is a test. It's not like college football. But look how the Bengals season can turn over in the next 2 weeks. They got a game. That's why the Chicago loss was tough. When Joe Burrow threw 3 straight interceptions last week against the Chicago Bears that led to scores. The Cincinnati Bengals, they got to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers today at 1:00. Tough place. They don't do very well in Pittsburgh, home or away, but they go to Pittsburgh and win this game on Sunday. Come back at a short week. On Thursday, they have Jacksonville. They can be 3-1 after 4 weeks. And the narrative about the Cincinnati Bengals and their season and Joe Burrows and everything else is going to be real bright this time next week. However, if they go to Pittsburgh and lay an egg and lose, and then turn around on Thursday, and lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, just what I said, they could be 3-1. That could turn to a 3-game losing streak and be at 1-3. Oh boy, that offensive line is going to catch a whole lot of flack as well as a whole bunch of other folks. Mm-hmm. And then we got a whole lot of football to play. Still got 13 games to go, and you're setting up a bad narrative in your locker room. Or they go 50-50. They lose today and win Thursday. Yeah, well, then we're asking the question, which way is this Bengals season going to go after 4 games? So the Bengals got a great opportunity early in the season where I'm saying they can make a statement to the rest of the league. We are for real. What happened in Chicago is not who we are. We're this team that can go into Pittsburgh, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, turn around on a short week and play the Jacksonville Jaguars and whip them too. We're 3-1 with a 10 days rest before our next game. Oh, things are good happening in Cincinnati. We had Joe Burrow's back. So and you get a chance to win 2 games in 5 days. That's the narrative that if I'm a Cincinnati Bengal team player or fan, I want to write about my team. I want to be said about my team. So we go into another part of our season on the upswing, and you got a chance to do it in 5 days, starting with this afternoon, going into Pittsburgh, where winning a tough game in Pittsburgh, no matter what kind of team Pittsburgh has, they always going to play the Bengals tough. So the Bengals got to know what's at stake, and that's where the leadership comes from the head coach and then from the locker room, to have a chance to change your season around right now. Because right now, 50-50. They're a 500 team. We won the first one, lost the second one. Go into Pittsburgh and win. Because, Pittsburgh and the Cowboys are my most hated teams. They're 1 and 1A. I hate them both the same. I know you're a Cowboy fan, Justin, but that's okay. But the Bengals got a chance to go into Pittsburgh and opportunity, to meet themselves. So then they play the Steelers twice during their division. Cincinnati can have a mental edge. We went to Pittsburgh and whipped y'all. Man, y'all still got to come to Cincinnati, and we're going to whip you again. That's the kind of attitude that you must have if you want to be, taken seriously of being not just making the playoffs, but winning the division. Are you go to Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl or just be a professional football player? You go to Cincinnati to just be in the playoffs or to be a professional football player? And the Bengals haven't been in the playoffs, 4 years now? 5 years?
5 years.
Since, it's time you don't want to turn around and be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and go 10, 11 years, and then, you win the Super Bowl after 11 years hiatus from the playoffs. We don't want to have to wait that long. You don't wait that long if it's guaranteed. But look how we look guaranteed. Look how we look at Tampa now. This time last year, they got Brady. We'll see. But before they get Brady, we didn't think much about Tampa. And they hadn't been in the playoffs. They really weren't nobody's radar. So make Cincinnati, a destination again, as long as it's ever been again. But You know, hey, come on, Cincinnati. You got an opportunity. Everybody, wait till next year. Wait till next year. This is next year. Now you have an opportunity. You're only 1-1. Nobody's going to go undefeated. Go out there and make a statement. Why? Somebody's going to win the Super Bowl. Why not you?
Yeah, the problem is all that until they protect Joe Burrow. It's going to be a long season, and hopefully the kid can stay healthy enough to make it out. We'll step away for a few moments, take a 4-minute breather. When we come back, we'll close out the show. We'll talk about Urban Meyer's run in Jacksonville so far, and also I'm curious your thoughts on the USC job, Keith. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. We close out our Sunday morning tailgate show next.
For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, backed by